Hi folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, in one other report I talked about certain things that I discovered, you're never too old to discover new things. And one of the things since I've lived in this area and since I've been reporting about the fishing is that I never realized how wonderful our trout fishing is in our area. I think that's something that we don't think about because the St. Lawrence sort of reigns supreme in all of our minds and all the images of what people have of this area. And I know over the last winters when I've gone to do sports shows and tell people about coming to our area, we often get asked, do you have trout fishing there as well? And I would say, well, that isn't really the hallmark of what we have. But I got to tell you, I've discovered that it really is one of the great wonders of fishing in this area. We've got fabulous trout fishing. And you might want to start investigating that for next year because that's one of our first things to open up. And I think it's one of the most enjoyable ways to fish is trout fishing these smaller streams like we have. You know, it's something that I wanted to pass on to you. I thought about telling you some of the things that I've learned. That's one of the biggest things I've learned this year is that we have so many streams, and I'll guarantee that most of you out there listening, if you are a fisherman, you probably haven't fished many of them. You know, that you could start discovering this, and you could fish every day a different body of water or a different place on the water. But we do have some wonderful trout streams, and as we get nearer to the new year, I'll really start concentrating on passing on everything I can learn about this. One of the persons that will help me is Aaron Hardy, who is now a guide for trout fishing in this area, and he's been more than helpful in giving me new information that I can pass on to you, and he's agreed to do this. And I think one of the important things that Aaron is going to do, and I think there's a lot of you might take advantage of this, is his goal is to teach people how to fly fish because that's one of the best ways to fish for trout, and he wants people to learn, and He's taken a number of people out this year and taught them how to catch trout and how to fish with a fly rod. And a lot of people will poo-hoo this and they won't realize that, bass fishing is a big part of who we are. And bass fishermen using bait casters and all the things that we talk about all the time. I've had a lot of friends that have said, we're not interested in trout fishing or fly fishing. But I think it's artistry. I think it's almost like learning a new song or something. It's so poetic to be able to learn how to make that fly rod become an extension of your mind. Really, it's really a graceful way to fish. But this is just a tip as we get near the holidays and think about all the things that are to come. This is something that I'm really looking forward to. Is next year's trout fishing. I find it amazing to be out there in the water, and it's usually such beautiful settings you find yourself in when you're fishing trout in these streams. And it really is something I think a lot of you might enjoy discovering. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meissner with the North Country Fishing Report.